What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Line of the Stars. I'm Jordan, and we are back today with another episode of the Yesterday's Enterprise build series and the 1701-C. Now, in the last episode, we created our custom deflector dish lighting. And we did that by taking a 5-volt blue, it's the same cob LED that we used inside of the nacelles, and we wrapped it around the secondary, or basically the alternate version of the deflector dish that they provide in the kit, and I just took that on the inside and used UV resin to get it put into place. It turned out really, really good, but what I did find out is that there is just light leaks for days because I did not plan to light this model, so therefore I did not light block the inside. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I'm a little afraid. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to go through and I'm going to take some of my cling wrap, and I'm going to use my cling wrap method of protecting my outside paint job. And I'm going to cling wrap the outside, and then I'm just simply going to take some XF69, the NATO black, and I'm going to put probably 3 or 4 coats of that on the inside. And hope. God, I hope I don't mess up this paint job. I am super worried about this. I've thought about using electrical tape, something like that, any sort of tape to light block the inside. But in the end, this is going to get a little warm. It'll likely melt the tape, and then it'll just turn into a damn mess afterwards. And so I do not, no, not dealing with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and spray this on the inside and see. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get our main power wire basically ready to go. I'm going to create a length of wire probably about this long, and I'm going to have a positive and negative. And I'm going to basically get it ready to run out. I'm going to be picking up a brass base tube. We're not going to be using the dome base for this for anything other than painting. I'm going to get a custom base for this one done from Cosmic Scale Models. And but I need to get the power run, so I need to get a length of wire, positive and negative, run this long, and then we're going to run that out and then get it ready to be positioned. So after we get all painted and dried, I'm going to take the main power wire and get it put right here. I'm not going to be running any Arduinos or anything like that. It's just going to be a straight on-off, light or not light situation. It's not going to be a super complicatedly lit model. So next up, we're going to go ahead and get the inside of this painted black. So to start, we're going to go ahead and start with getting our press and seal put into place. I love this technique. So let's go ahead and get started with this one. And as I said, I may choose the way, I'll choose the way I want to shoot my videos. This one I kind of felt like it'd be great to kind of talk a little bit about what I'm doing as I'm going along here. So obviously when I'm painting, we're not going to be doing too much talking and all that jazz. I do really like using the press and seal for these type of purposes. It clings to the paint really, really well, but what it doesn't do is take it off. It's not like a tape or anything like that. It just uses this weird voodoo magic that the press and seal uses. So, I'll take that. And I think it's just the way it's textured. I think these little fine pieces here, like it just sticks to your finger, and I think it's just because it expands around it. And so, however it works, it just seems to work really, really well. What we do is just protecting the outside of the paint. So I got the sticky side down, and I'm just going to press into place everywhere I don't want any NATO black to get to. I'm going to focus on starting at one end and working my way back this way. And just very simply pushing down, getting in and around. Like you want to make sure you're getting in and around. I remember when I was painting this was a bit of a pain in the butt right here. So just kind of get in and around there. Don't want to have any going on the inside because I need to have, like we can't have any of this. The trick I think with this whole paint process that we're about to do is getting this sealed along the outside, but none of the press and seal on the inside. Oof. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this bottom piece off right here. I didn't quite position this properly, but so I'm trying to figure it out. I'm just going to do one of these. And what I'm saying is I didn't have enough for right through here. Lay it up against there. Just making sure. That was perfectly placed, by the way. Super weird that I did that. But I just want to make sure that I'm not getting... I just want to make sure that I'm not getting any of that on the inside, because I need to get the NATO black everywhere on the inside of this. So, that's a bit of a tricky part right here. I can't remember now. I first employed it on this ship, but I cannot remember for the life of me whose channel I saw this on. And it wasn't one of the Hobby Time guys. It was someone else. I think it was one of those guys that does the tutorial about painting miniatures, and he does a lot of Warhammer stuff. And he had a video where he's like, oh yeah, I think it was, I can't think of a name right now. I haven't seen his stuff in a little while, just because my algorithm is a little changed. But he's like, he always has tips and tricks for people that, you know, like go to the dollar store and see what they have there for model supplies, and you'd be surprised what you can find there. So, like, uses uncommon techniques used in other applications and shows you how to, where to get them and such like that. So, oof, I'm nervous about this, guys. Super nervous. I may, around the edges, take brush. But I am also using, thanks to Todd, who's a wonderful human being. When we were at Wonderfest, we did the Iwata painting class with the MPC Millennium Falcon. And for that class, you can get a really good deal on an Iwata Eclipse. This is a very nice airbrush. And Todd, the Todd father, was incredibly kind. And Steve, unfortunately, the Maker's Cave, Steve got sick during it, and so I was able to be fortunate enough to step into the class. I was just there watching, hanging out, but then I was able to actually go in and do the class, which was super cool. But then Todd very kindly gave me his Iwata Eclipse. This is a fantastic airbrush, and this is going to be the very first thing that I'm going to be using. And this can get a pencil thickness without having to do any adjustments back here. You don't need a travel stop on this one. I have the exposed pin here, so I can, when I'm cleaning, it's much easier for cleaning. We'll talk about the Iwata a little bit later on. I might even do a review on it as like a noob does a Iwata review sort of thing. But sounds amazing. And from using one that was like a tester demo at Wonderfest, oh my goodness. Wow. Amazing. So, I'll be using that. So I think maybe, oh god, I think maybe we should be fine with the detail and close-in detail work, but I want to make sure that I'm not leaving any areas uncovered that don't need to be. Say for up here, for instance. Just like that. Kind of just getting in, making sure that none of the outside paint can be seen and touched. Okay, I'm going to do this for the next side, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of something I haven't done in a little while. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my paint. So, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm doing, and enjoy. Jesus. Damn, dude. I'm cutting in right now. I have to cut in right now. This airbrush is freaking amazing. I can do fine detail. Like, I can get in, like, the trick is to do a fine point, like a pencil point. Get super close and just go as light as you possibly can. But if you open this bad boy up, just look at this. Just, it will pencil point down to, like, what feels like a 5mm. Just like that. Amazing. 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 Thank you, Todd. You're amazing. Alright, so as I go through here and peel off the saran wrap, I was super nervous. This first one I kind of just tore into it, actually. And then I kind of slowly was looking around. There was some spots where I did get some black paint on the outside, but it's going to be spots where you can't really see it, with the most noticeable being this along here, and that was just because of the brush. That wasn't the airbrush. That was actually using the brush when I was doing my final light blocking going along the outside. So I'll have to color correct that before we do our final assembly. But I was really impressed with the results. The Iwata Eclipse was an amazing airbrush, and I did not know what I was missing. I was able to do that in 1 to 2 passes real fast. I was able to lay down a nice even layer of paint with 0 issues. And once again, same thing, just a little bit of the brush, like the actual like brush. I was pleased. And I kind of held it up here because you can see the outline of the engineering section. It's kind of funny. So, yeah, I was actually really pleased with how this turned out. One of the things that surprised me was the airbrush. Like, I've been using an airbrush for a while, but kind of a crappy one. This one, out of control. Amazing. Just amazing. So here is where I have a little bit of regrets. You saw there, I was kind of like toying with the idea of spreading out the ends of the wires. I did not do that. I also did not clip the ends of the wires, and so we're going to have to deal with that while it's inside. But what we're doing basically right now is creating our warp core. Power source for the ship. I've decided to use, I'm not going to be using that barrel plug at the very end. I just wanted to use the 2 wires that were put together and not separate wires for this connection. So a lot of I actually didn't do any glue work here. It was all primarily done with UV resin. I've been using UV resin quite a bit lately. And the reason I like to use it is it creates a hard plastic barrier. It doesn't actually like glue anything down. It just creates a solid like piece. So to do this, however, I was a little worried about being too warm on the hull, and so I was doing it in like a 10-second a 10-second, and then a 30-second blast to get it sealed up in place. I didn't want to get it too hot because you can melt the plastic of the models. So the first connection is nice and tight, and just kind of making sure that everything is ready to go. And so once I I was kind of surprised, that went down really easy. And so once I determined that it was ready, I went ahead and put a little bit more UV resin down where the connection is made, and then once again did the quick 5-second, the 10-second blast, 2 of those, and then we did a 30-second blast to secure it in place. Fairly simple. Very simple power connection. This is going to power up the entire ship. Pretty cool. We'll see if this works out. Now, I had already pre-fit this deflector dish with a piece of double-sided tape, a piece of foam tape, basically. And, it worked, but what I didn't like was that it wasn't centered inside of the engineering section. You can kind of tell, when you look straight at it, you can tell that there was, kind of a bit of an offset. So what I've done here is I grabbed some of our craft wire, and this wouldn't be one of my episodes if, I very carefully, look at this, very carefully, nicely line it up, and then doink, bye. Wouldn't be one of my episodes unless I flung something. So I take 2 pieces of craft wire, and I think these are 20 or 18 gauge. I'm not quite sure. It was supposed to be 22, but it definitely wasn't. So we'll see. But take 2 pieces of the 22 gauge wire, and 22, the 18 gauge or just craft wire, and I have a couple small sections. And what I need to do is basically get them bent into place. Now, what my thought is to kind of create a bit of a, what would be the best way of putting it? The best way to do this was to create a bit of like a hook. And what I basically did was I took the straight wire and I created an L. It was, the first shot was like, okay, can I create just an L? I knew I was going to have to create like a U shape, but I wanted to see if this would actually fit into place and if this concept would actually work. So I get both of these taken care of, and I tried to be as precise as possible. I tried to make sure that both sides lined up properly, and that everything was as even as possible, because in the end, we don't want to have a uneven part if we're going through this entire process, because it would be fairly simple to just go through and put a piece of foam in there and just kind of leave it offset. So I wanted to make sure that everything was nice and even. So could begin my test fitting, and what I'm doing is I'm using the double-sided tape from the Cobb LED, and I am using it as a good sticking base, a place to get started with testing to see how this is done. So now what I'm doing is I've determined, kind of through fit, the shape of the U shape that we're going to have to create, and I do wind up modifying this here in a little bit. We'll see. You'll see that as we get towards the finish here, but we're creating a U shape with our craft wire. And the idea is that it's going to hook into place and just kind of slightly push out against the outside of the hull, kind of keeping it in place. Now, I'm only going to be doing this on one side. We only need to do it on one side. I don't like the idea of trying to glue this into place. Just no. Not going to happen. So we do secure this using a very secure technique here in just a little bit. So as you can see there, we got the U shape put into place. Now it's just a matter of test fitting it. I had to get it right. If I was actually paying attention, well, I was paying attention, but if I had actually given a little bit more thought, I would have shortened up that U a little bit or flattened it out before doing the full assembly. but I was fairly pleased with the results. So I will go ahead and copy what we did on the other side, and then for the other piece of metal craft wire, and then what we do is very simply take some of our UV resin once again. Like, I love this stuff, and I'm just completely surrounding the craft wire, and then just through the same technique, I just blasted this one for a straight 30 seconds. I didn't care. That's just how that was. And it's nice and secure. And you can see here, like, when I go to move it, it's not going anywhere. Like, it's a solid piece now. You know, you could very easily separate it. And remember that UV resin doesn't actually glue anything. It just holds it in place by the simple nature of the way it bonds. So, well, not the way it bonds, by the way it cures. It cures hard, and so if you put it over a surface, it will secure it down as long as you have like a bridge. Basically what I do is I do a ridge or a bridge of UV resin over the top and completely encapsulate the part and then secure it using the flashing of the flashlight. Now both of these are put in place, and I was fairly impressed with the results. Like I said, I'm only doing this on one side. And when I put it in here, it basically holds it in place, but it was just a little too tall. I needed to kind of go through and do a little bit of modifications, but the basis for what we needed to do was actually done, and I'm fairly impressed with how this turned out. I've thought a lot about this and how I would approach, getting this mod secured in. And, this worked just absolutely gloriously. It holds it right in place. It's positioned exactly where I want it to go. And to be honest with you, I was really surprised that the proof of concept worked. And so while it's sitting up like this, I simply just take some of our UV resin and build a ridge very quickly. And if you notice, I set this down and quickly grab the flashlight, and I'm quickly flashing this off. I once again do the 10-second pause, 10-second pause, and then a 30-second flash, just to avoid any heat transfer into the model, and we didn't want to melt the outside. Do the same thing here. We basically, once again, very quickly just put the UV resin down, quickly flash it with the flashlight. The first 10 seconds will cure it, kind of. It'll secure it in place, but then the remaining 2 flashes will take care of it. And so, look at that. Not bad. I gotta say, that's not bad. So, we go ahead and take our 2 pieces of the engineering section, put it together, and I gotta say that the results here just turned out fantastic. Like, obviously we knew the engineering section looked really good when it was put together, but to actually have the proof of concept, and when I pushed in there, I was like, does this secure? And sure enough, it is. But it was the proof of concept, and it's really pleasing to see that it was done properly. And so, yeah, not too bad, my friends. The deflector has been assembled. Well, at least the lighting has. Let's go ahead and finish up. All right, so I go ahead and take a little bit of my the wires, not a little bit, but I take some of the wires that I had originally hooked up. I'm going to be hooking these into the main power bus. I don't know what I'm going to call it as we go through. So I didn't want to create a permanent power connection, but I wanted to be able to run my power leads to it. And so, man, that looks really good. It looks really, really good. I'm really pleased with that result. And especially when we assemble the 2 pieces together, there was like, wait, hold on, why is there a huge gap? The wires are hanging out the side. When I assembled the 2 pieces together and it was holding on by itself, oh man, it turned out so good. I'm really pleased with this result. And once I get the deflector dish on itself, I keep going back to the great paint job that I did on that one. I'm really pleased with that result. And so everything all here together looks really fantastic. And so, there we go, my friends. The next episode, we're going to be lighting up the impulse engines and getting our main power hooked up, and we're going to be getting our nacelles also installed. So, next episode, the engineering section is coming together, and we're going to get ready to move back to the saucer section. So that's what I got for you today, and I just want to say thank you. I know that there was a million things y'all could have done today. Instead, you spent a couple minutes with me watching me mod a model, which I think is pretty damn cool. If you guys have any questions or comments, tips, tricks, please leave them down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And my friends, until we see each other again, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world, wherever you happen to be. And just remember that revenge is a dish best served cold.